Hey guys, just wanted to show you my new rack setup that I finally got installed here in my new house. This is all Unifi gear, and then I did get the new USW Pro Max POE 24 port. And what's nice about this one compared to some of their other ones, I mean, one, it has their new Etherlighting, which we can talk about, but two, then you get 8 2.5 gigabit PoE++ ports, WAN ports, or LAN ports. So that's nice. Then you get another 8 PoE++ gigabit and another 8 PoE+ gigabit. So you have a total of 16 1 gig and 8 2.5 gig LAN ports. You still have your 2 SFP plus 10 gig ports, which is what I have connected. So as you see, I have a Dreamwall SE, I have Spectrum, coax, cable as my internet. Unfortunately, there's still no fiber here, but that is a DOCSIS 2.1 and has a 2.5 gig Ethernet port. Not that that really helps, but I am getting the 1 gig by about 40 megabit up. So that comes in here in the back of my patch panel to port 24, and then goes up to your 2.5 gig WAN port there. And then I have a direct attached copper cable between the Dream Machine SE and the new Pro Max PoE Etherlight switch. And then I got this patch panel hooked up, which is nice, from Ubiquiti. They're Cat 7 Keystone jacks from just from Amazon, and they've been working fine. And yeah, so it's relatively big house. It's just under 12,000 square feet, so very, very big. And what I do have, so in terms of access points, I have one right there, U6 long range Wi-Fi 6 that I have in the mechanical room here, so that fits and does most of the internet or the Wi-Fi for the basement, which is around 3,000 square feet. And then on the main floor, on this port is a USW Enterprise, so USW in-wall Enterprise Wi-Fi 6E. And then the other one, so that does the main floor Wi-Fi. And then up in the master bedroom, which is on the second story, another USW Enterprise in-wall access point. And so far that's providing pretty good Wi-Fi access everywhere. I might still have to, in some of the corners of the house, maybe add some additional stuff like the indoor pool that's in the basement. That's a little weak. Obviously, there's a lot of concrete there, and so this U6LR doesn't quite get great signal all the way into that pool room. So I might have to add one in there, and maybe another one up in the garage, depending for some security cameras and stuff. But otherwise, on the main level, everything's working good. I did put in a G4 Doorbell Pro on the main level, and that is been recording great and gives me excellent Wi-Fi coverage according to the app. So that's what I got. I mean, as you can see, all of these are not lit up because the vast majority of them I don't have plugged into anything right now. But I have my two in-wall ones that have 2.5 gig LAN ports are there, so that's that. This green signifies full gigabit, so this one is going to the U6LR, which is down here in the basement. This is going to out into the family room in the basement, which I just have a smart TV plugged in, and that only has a 100 megabit connection, so doesn't the TV doesn't have a 1 gig NIC in it, just 100 megabit is the fastest, so that's why you see it as yellow. So what's kind of cool about this ether lighting, I don't know if it's coming really through on camera, but it looks pretty cool here. I mean, these are not Ubiquiti's special cables that they came out with, but they're actually pretty similar. You know, they're the very slim cable, which makes, you know, everything look nice and less bulky and easier to bend on this tight radius. If if you're connecting from one U rack to another one U rack right above it or below it. But the jacket or the housing is all translucent plastic, and there's no other rubber stuff on it. So if you can see, so it does look very nice in person. You know, it's very similar to Ubiquiti's new one that they came up for this, where it's going to show that ether lighting LED light, you know, all the way through there, which is kind of cool. And obviously, when I get the rest of these sort of hooked up, you'll get a more, as you can see, it sort of flows back and forth. But not a lot of these are fully hooked up. One of the other ones is hooked up. This one is hooked up, but it's not giving me anything, and that's because it's hooked up to my alarm panel. And that thing, I think, really only asks for internet every once in a while. So I mean, it's connected, but it's not giving me any light there. But in terms of this light, so this SFP light, that also is full RGB, so you can change that. Right now it's pulsing, or you know, with link activity as white, and you can change that in the app or on the Unifi console on your computer, and you can change these lights to whatever you want. So right now they're hooked up on link speed, like I said. So I have green as full gigabit, this yellowish as 1000 or just Ethernet. The blue is 2.5 gig, and then white is 10 gig link speed. So that's what I have connecting the Dream Machine, or the Dream Machine to the switch. And as you can see, I don't have anything plugged in there anymore, just because everything, you know, I don't have as much or many things plugged in here yet. And I just think this looks, you know, cleaner using these ones rather than going directly onto there. But if we zoom up here, and this is still not totally finished, but this is, you know, the house is 14 years old that I bought, and so they did wire, you know, back then, 14 years ago, put in some cat, put cat actually a bunch, but they have cat here that they ran to some choice locations there, as you can see, you know, to the theater room, to the playroom, to the, you know, downstairs family room, exercise room, master bedroom, the work area, the office floor, stuff like that. And so those are nice. As you can see, though, those cables that they have terminated here in this old-fashioned sort of patch panel, or panel. You know, the yellow ones are not long enough, unfortunately, to reach down to my rack or go into the back of my patch panel. So for now, you know, I just have these additional, you know, going from here into the panel, into my patch panel, and then into my switching gear. Not necessarily ideal. You know, you want to obviously try to avoid multiple connection points if you can, but without really rewiring and running new, you know, cat cables all the way through the house, you know, it's the best I can do. And I mean, really, for my purposes, should be fine. You know, like I said, most of this is probably very overkill for you know, your home type setup. But you know, I like the Ubiquiti stuff. It's what I wanted to do. You know, before I got this stuff installed, right when I moved into the house, you know, just had some Wi-Fi or Google Wi-Fi, you know, pucks around, and you know, that works okay. But you know, you obviously sacrifice quite a bit when it comes to, you know, link speed and Wi-Fi when you start getting further from the access points, and when the one network is meshing off of the other networks, or the other Wi-Fi networks, you know, so this obviously takes care of that. And then you can see they have old-fashioned, you know, RJ11. This is all terminated on the other side is RJ11, so old telephone lines, but is on Cat 5 or Cat 5A cables running throughout the house. So those eventually will all get terminated again, and a new patch panel over here for those areas, and then run down into here. So, but otherwise, so far everything has been working pretty rock solid. I'm thinking of adding some security cameras with the doorbell, to record continuously. You do need a hard drive in there, and that just came today, so we popped that in, that formatted, and was ready to go in 30 seconds, and that's been working great so far. The other thing I should say about the Etherlighting, so there's a couple different options. Like I said, you can go into the app and you can have it show you link speed, or you can change it to VLAN. So if you have specific ports mapped to specific VLANs, it can show you that. So if you have your main network or VLAN for all of your traffic is, you can set that to blue or red or yellow, whatever color you want. And then let's say you have a guest VLAN network that you have, security camera VLANs. If you had some of these as security cameras, security camera VLAN that you have your cameras set up on, an IoT, Internet of Things VLAN, etc. I mean, people can have lots of different VLANs for different purposes depending what you're trying to accomplish. And so for all that, you can switch that, and so that's kind of nice. It can show you then which ports are open. If you didn't right now, I sort of just have all these plugged in just because I got all the cables, and I was like, oh, this kind of look kind of nice. But obviously all the ones that are not lit up are not connected to anything. So if you had those off, and let's say you ran a new wire or whatever for a certain security camera, and you want to know, well, what port do I have open that is on my security camera VLAN, you can go into the app, do that, and it will show you, light up the ones that are on the security camera VLAN. It can show you any of those. You can tell it to just show you a specific port or identify a specific port for a device. So if you go in there and you're looking like, well, where is this device hooked up? Where is this security camera hooked up? Where is this access point or whatever? It can go ahead and identify that port and blink that port at you. Pretty cool, new sort of thing. I mean, obviously, somewhat of a gimmick type, RGB lighting, but also has some actual usefulness. And then I also have my UPS. And I got everything hooked up to, and some extra cables. But for now, like I said, we might have to add another access point or two a little bit once we sort of live with it for a while and see where some Wi-Fi dead zones are, or low zones. But for now, actually, those have been doing quite well. I know they say they only cover 1,500 or 2,000 square feet each, but each of my levels is a little over 3,000 square feet, and I've been getting good or excellent, really, coverage throughout. So, and like I said, we do have Cat run to a lot of places where you would like to plug in, so like in the office, so that'll be nice. You can plug in, the desktop and laptop computer there that you're working on. I have it in the master bedroom, and that's where I have one of the in-wall Pros or in-wall Enterprise. So that obviously gives excellent Wi-Fi there, but then also it's easy to plug in the TV, game console, or whatever else you're going to put there. In the playroom, in the theater room, all that stuff is all going to be hardwired pretty easily. And then we also have all this old coax that they used for Spectrum and for Dish Network at one time or another. So, but so obviously everything, like I said, has sort of been rock solid. And this came out right as I was about ready to purchase this stuff. So I was going to go with their other USW, I think they just called it USW Pro POE switch, not the, which, had additional POE Plus and POE Plus Plus ports compared to what you just get on the Dream Machine. But then this came out, it was $100 more but I figured, well, you know, I'm sort of future-proofing by getting 8 2.5 gigabit ports there for if we ever do finally get some fiber. I mean, we're supposed to be, so TDS is in the area, and they're supposed to be laying fiber, you know, well, they are laying fiber. I don't know when they'll get exactly out to me. You know, they haven't given a timeline for that yet, but TDS does up to 8 gigabit per second symmetrical, which is obviously crazy overkill right now for residential use. But, you know, if I can just get, you know, a gig up and a gig down, I'd be much happier than, you know, Spectrum's 1 gig and by 40 or 35 megabit up. You know, that up is just still crazy anemic. So I know they need to fix that, but competition's good, so hopefully we will be having some updates on that. So I'm sort of, you know, I figured if I'm going to invest in this, you know, we'll sort of try to future-proof a little bit, so I don't have to in a year or two be like, well, I wish I got the bigger, you know, more powerful switch for $100 more, and then have to deal with, you know, trying to sell my other switch and upgrade to a new one. So, but otherwise everything is looking good. Let me know if you have any questions about anything or want to see any of the, you know, I can do a video maybe on switching these lights. I know there's a couple videos out there now with some reviewers, but I figured it's got to be one of the first ones in the hands of an actual consumer using it. So I thought I'd just throw a video up. But I can talk more about sort of plans for the house and, you know, internet and security cameras and all that, sort of that I'm planning. Like I said, it's a pretty big house, so, you know, that obviously presents a few inherent challenges with stuff, but so far so good. So let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. We'll talk to you later.